Okay, welcome to Bitrix24 Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Gold Partners Interface, and with me I have our Support Manager, Andy Naylor.
Hi guys, so we're going to be here for the next hour and we're here to answer any questions that you may have on Bitrix24. So it doesn't matter if you're using the cloud version, so the free account or a paid account, or the on-premise. We can show you on the two different styles of account live on the screen. So do please put your questions in the box next to the video on YouTube, or if you do have any questions throughout the week, we usually start each session off answering questions that we've received, and to get those questions to us, you can either email us at to live@intraface.com, or you can drop us an email to sales@intraface.com.
Yep, thank you. So we had a question in earlier on today about integration with WooCommerce. The question is, do we have an application that integrates Bitrix24 with WooCommerce? Well, I think there may be an application. Let's have a quick look. But there's a couple of options, I think, here that they've got. Let's have a look in applications. Probably is actually an application for WooCommerce.
I think if you go to I think if you actually were in a WooCommerce site and you got a plugin the other way around, so if you got a plugin for Bitrix in WooCommerce, then you can. But the other way of doing it would be through a webhook. So
there isn't an app as such in Bitrix for WooCommerce, but like Andy says, there might be an integration you can get on the WooCommerce WordPress side. But
yeah, certainly we actually have one set up on here. So with regards to using an inbound webhook, so we can use an inbound webhook essentially to be triggered when a sale gets completed on your WooCommerce e-commerce site, and when that sale gets completed, essentially what you can do is you can pass any information with regards to that order through to your Bitrix24 CRM. So it may be that you want to collect the order number from WooCommerce, you want to collect customer data, you want to collect the product data, all those things you can do. I did a simple one. I just passed the order number through from WooCommerce into the Bitrix24 CRM. The first thing, if you want to do this and test it out, essentially you need to go to Applications, you need to go to Webhooks, and then you need to create an inbound webhook. So if we click into inbound webhook here in the top right hand corner, and what we want to do is we want to grant permission to access the CRM. In our case, what we're going to do is we're going to create a deal when an order comes through on WooCommerce. So if we grant access, then what we do, click on Save, and we will get a unique URL. So let's have a look at our WordPress. So we have a URL that we can call and post information to. If we want to use this URL, we do need to append the REST API call on the end of this URL. So if we go to Bitrix24 API, what we can do here, we'll be able to see the available call methods. So in our CRM, click into deals, and what we've used on our webhook is a CRM deal add. So all you would need to do is add this onto the end of your URL here, and then what we can start doing is, if I just show you in the description box of what it looks like. So if you do this and then click on here, we would add this on, click on paste, and then what we would do is click question mark, and then fields, and then we would put the field in the field name that exists inside Bitrix, so you can get access to some of the field names. So if you scroll down, you can see some of the field names in the deals. To get the others, you can inspect the element to find them. Or if you have a self-hosted, you can go to all your custom fields in here. And then we can put a value. So this is where we would put the values from. So we've got in our inbound webhook, we've got the WooCommerce order number here, and then we've used some of the other options in here to, like the opportunity, so the order amount. You'll just have to have a look at WooCommerce to see how to grab those values. But essentially what we've done on our integration, we've created a function in WordPress, and every time the order comes through, so let's submit an order on here. It's just on our intraface.com website. So just while we're on here, one thing to point out, we do have a number of extensions that we can offer for the on-premise package. Some of these are free, so we can convert CRM to Extranet user. But in this case, I'm just going to show you how we can submit this order. So if I click on add, and let's actually just go to our CRM first. We'll remove the deal that's in here, just so we can see it coming in. And if you click on View Basket, so this is built on WooCommerce. Click on Proceed to Checkout. I am going to just need to fill in a few of these fields. So, and again, we can pass any of this information through to Bitrix, so it doesn't matter. And then we can put a number through as well. And then we can put an email through. So once we've clicked on place order, what that will essentially do is now our function in WordPress is going to trigger the inbound webhook. You can see the order number is 18755. You click into here, click on refresh, and you can see the order numbers come through. It's put it as a deal type of WooCommerce order, and if we did have a value associated against that, our value was actually nil because it is a free plugin. Then we can record that as well. But like, as I mentioned, we can pass those billing details as well to create a contact. I just have to use the REST API for the contact information.
So set something like that up is like an hour's work or something like that. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not going to take you days or anything like that.
No.
And so with a bit of knowledge, you can do all sorts of things.
Yeah, I think this example would have been good if we'd got the order in like we have done, created a contact, and then bound the two together, so the contact would have this deal associated to them.
And you can do that on the cloud. I guess you can't do it on the free cloud accounts, but you'd be able to do it on a cloud or self-hosted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or self-hosted, of course. Okay. Is there a way in which I could have a list created with a list of, let's say, products or offices, and add a custom field to pick by the column name on that list of products within a deal, contact, or task record? So yeah, we create a list of products, and then we want to view that in a deal or contact. So let's do it in a contact. I think I know what you mean. We'll create the list, we'll add it, we'll associate it with a contact, see if that's what you're looking for. So let's go into here. So if we go into,
I don't think you can do what it's asking.
I want to, yeah, I just set up a list and link it to a contact first and show you what's possible to do. So let's go into our lists. Oh, we've got one called products here. So we have a list of products with a price, and let's just customize. If we go into customize fields, we're just going to create a field that associates this list with a contact. Add a field, call it contact. So the field type we want is Bind to CRM items. It will refresh for us. We're just going to select the contact field here. We don't want to give the user option to bind it to any other types of CRM items. Let's save that. Go back, and we just need to show it. Go into our settings cog on the left. Show that contacts field. Let's just go and edit one of these and select Graham Smith there and save it. So we can see that's associated with Graham Smith. That becomes clickable. We can click and open up the contact record, and it will create for us a link to that product's list view, that product's list, and it will show us any products that are associated with. We can open up additional fields here. Shows any products that have been associated with this contact. To be honest, I'm not too sure what you mean. Add a custom field to pick by the column range.
I think all you can do, I think we may have showed this before, but if we went into that contact and added a custom field, and let's just call it. The problem is, what I think you're wanting is to choose a different column name inside that product. So if we bound to information block elements, and then selected, do we have products in here? Oh yeah, lists. And then clicked on products. I don't think you can choose the columns that this shows. It would just be the product name. You can't choose, so if I clicked on save in here and then went to a particular contact, let's just go back to where you were, Graham Smith, and then select that, so products. In here we would only have the products themselves. Is the 100, is that the product name?
That's part of the product name.
Yeah. So you can only select the product name. If you wanted to display the other column in here, for example, price, then the only way of doing it would be to do it the way that Damien's done it. You'd be able to see the columns in here.
Okay, post your questions for us in the chat window. There's our contact details. If you want to send any questions over after we've finished, send them to sales@interface.com. If you want to have a one-to-one demo with us, get in touch with us at that sales email address or one of those telephone numbers on the screen, and we can arrange that for you. Got a question. Are permissions set per user or per department, e.g. all sales can see the same lead? So are permissions set per user or department? So you're all sales, so you assume you're referring to permissions in the CRM. Are they set to user or department? Well, you can do either and more. So let's go into CRM. Go to the settings in the CRM. I don't think you see this unless you're an admin.
Really sure. I think you do see it.
You see it, but you won't see all these options. You might see some. Go into settings and go into permissions and click in access permissions. Definitely, if you're not an admin, you definitely don't get access to this area. So all the permissions set by user or department. So what you do within permissions in the CRM is firstly create your role and then choose a role to associate it with a user. So what we've got here is a group of users. So anyone who's in the group administrators got this role administration. And then we've got things like sales department, get this sales executive role here. You can change which role they get to see. That's how you assign them, but you need to create them or edit them. You get some roles here that by a standard that are available to choose from. You can add new ones, or you can edit the existing ones. Let's edit this sales executive role. So the options, you've got a lot of options. Basically, these are the modules down the left-hand side. Companies and contacts. You've got different permissions set per deal pipeline if you've got more than one deal pipeline. Quotes and invoices, etc., down the left-hand side. Those are the different modules, and you can define different permissions based on each individual module. You can actually go into the stages of a deal. So each deal will have custom stages that you've set. You can change the permissions. So I think a good example of that is when a deal is won, you might want to then restrict access to be able to edit that deal, to be able to change the details of that deal once it's to become a one deal. So those are your modules, and then you define the permissions based on who you want to be able to read, add new records, i.e. add a new contact, add a new company, edit them, update or edit them, delete, export and import. And the options you have, so within company, let's say we want to see who can update a company. So who can edit a company record within the CRM. So currently it's access denied. I can set it to personal. I can only edit ones that I'm a responsible person for. You can only have one responsible person on a record in the CRM. Personal and department, so that is anyone that's your own, anyone associated with anyone else. Any records that are associated to anyone who's in the same department as you. We'll have a quick look at the department company structure in a second. Anyone in the same department, or your own, sorry, anyone that's your own in the same department or departments that are below you on the company structure. And then all open deals, companies and all, you know, all completely all companies. So you've got the option, you go through and change the settings for every single one of these. So basically you can do quite a lot of details. We just go into the employees page, and this is the company structure. So we're talking about here, if you're in the Sales North team, then you set permissions to see your own and department, and you can see anyone in this team. So that means that if I move somebody across into the team, then the permissions are going to be chained, updated automatically. If you've got that sub-departments, then that means if you're in this department, you can see CRM records from people in these departments below. It's quite straightforward, I think, but there's just quite a lot of different detail you need to go into to get it right for you. And that's just the CRM. You've got permissions separately within work groups. Can't access a work group unless you're a member of it, so you can't see the tasks and things inside that work group. And on the self-hosted, you have an additional layer where you can do all sorts of other things like restrict access to menus and things. So we've got a lot of different areas, and it's a key area really to get right, especially in the CRM. Who can see that? If you're inviting in extranet users, then they can't access the CRM at all, so you don't need to worry about that. But getting the teams right access to the contacts is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a question just about, is there a quick and easy way to send repetitive emails to companies and contacts? So what Bitrix has is the ability to create email templates to send. So if you're emailing, let's just go into leads as an example. And if you're emailing a particular lead, and maybe it's a common email that you want to send, but not have it automated, then you can do so by clicking into the lead. And if you're emailing directly from the lead itself, you would usually click on email, and then you can send the email directly from here. So if you've connected up your email to Bitrix, you can send from your own personal email here. So maybe we had cloudmax@outlook.com. That is one of the email accounts we've got connected in the mail settings. But let's say we don't want to write the same email out over and over again. Bitrix actually does give you the ability to have templates. So it may be that you want to just send a thank you. So you can see it automatically populates the body of the email, and it automatically populates the subject of the email. We could have another one, and we could basically essentially create lots of different templates that we're going to be using repetitively. Now, what you can do, each user has the ability to create their own templates and have them accessible for themselves only. So you can create your own personal email templates, or you can create templates that are going to be available to every employee. So it might be that you want all your sales staff to have access to a particular email template. All you need to do, any user, as we mentioned earlier, can click into settings, and then if you click into email, you'll be able to see the email templates button here. So click into email templates, click on add new template, and we can call this Bitrix24 Live. and what we're going to do is we're going to bind this to a lead. What the binding does essentially is only make this template available within whichever module you're binding it to. So we only want this template to appear in the leads when we're sending an email from a lead. We can leave the default sender, and then we can say thanks for attending, and then we can write whatever we want. So one of the good things with these templates, especially if you're binding it to a lead, what we can do is click on the three dots to the right hand side, and we can select fields that already exist inside a lead. So we could say hello first name, give it a space, last name, thanks for attending. And we can obviously include any of the custom fields as well. If you wanted to include HTML templates, so you can brand up your emails, you can simply do so by clicking on the HTML button there. So once you click on save, that will now become available for yourself in the leads module. If you want to make this template available for everybody, just check the box in the top right hand corner, and every employee who has access to the leads module will be able to have access to this particular template. So now if I go back to the leads, click into a particular lead here, let's see if it's got a first name and last name. It has John Jackson. So if I click on email here, click into the template, and now you'll be able to see the one I just created. You can see here it's automatically populated. Hello John Jackson, thanks for attending, bye. So it's as simple as that really. You can create your own templates quick and easy, and it will default to your preferred email sender as well. So hopefully that's quite useful. I did have another question that did come through, and I've had it a couple of times recently. It's somebody that actually had a free account on Bitrix and then created another account to access a new version of Bitrix. They actually bought a professional but wanted it completely a brand new instance. And they were having people struggling to connect to the new account because everybody was still logging into their old account. What we would tend to recommend doing is you can find out how many sites you have by if you go into, I'm in a cloud version now, if you go to my Bitrix24 network page, you can find out the accounts you have here, and then you can essentially block access. I would dismiss all employees. To do that, you would just need to go into the account, and I would dismiss all employees from this account. So you can do that by clicking into employees, and then we can dismiss. Obviously, tell your staff before you do this, because they probably will get a notification to say they've been excluded from the Bitrix. So just tell them that you're moving them off the old one, and then you can get everybody accessing the right one. And how Bitrix works is if you don't have anybody access your old account, then I can't remember the amount of set days, but it does auto delete. I think it's around about 30. If it's inactive for 30 to 60 days, then it will. You will get an email and say that your account will be deleted in 14 days if nobody accesses it or no changes are made inside it, and then 7 days, and then the Bitrix will delete the account. So that's the best way to avoid that.
Okay, I have 10 new business cards from a conference and I want to delegate calling them to an employee. Where is best to enter them, and how best to delegate them to employee and follow progress? So it's should be fairly straightforward. So you've got business cards. There actually might be a kind of card scanner, I think. Let's have a quick look. I don't know what you would call that, but there might be a card scanner.
I think if you type in there is a business card. There you go.
Business card to CRM for Bitrix24. So I guess this allows you to scan from your phone or something like that. I've not tried it, it's a third-party app, but That's pretty good, isn't it? If it can recognise the name and the company name, save all that typing in. But yeah, that looks quite good. So you can use that app. That will generate a lead for you, or you can install. You can add leads manually. So if we go into here, click on the little plus button, then you can add your leads into here. As you add your lead, choose which fields you want. I guess firstly, which fields you want to be using inside the leads module. We've got name, position, company name, contact details down here. Probably want to do this. Probably want to track source. So your system will come with probably a list of sources similar to that. You can change those sources. But you say they're from a conference, so you're going to want to probably specify which conference it is so that you can filter that later, report on that later on. We've got address down here, got some other information on this particular site. If you don't want to see any of these fields, you can hide these so that, let's take some of these out. Got quite a lot in here. Hide these fields. Once you've chosen the layout you want for leads, then you can then, I'll show you in a second, you can set that as the default layout. Essentially you need to populate this form, and it will just close out of this now. It will generate a lead for you. Let's go into a lead we've already got. Generate a lead like this for you. Once you've created this layout, as I say, if you do want to remove fields or add custom fields, then if you go into set common form view for all users, that will default this view so everyone sees the same. And I mean, it's straightforward. All you're going to do is generate the leads. It will by default assign them to yourself. What you can do, if you've got a small quantity, you can just click into each lead and you can reassign them like this. Choose who you want to follow that one up. Harriet here will now receive a notification. If you've got permissions set up so she can only see her own leads, then she'll now be able to see this lead because she's responsible for it. If you've got a large number of them, see what you can do. You can go source. Let's have a look at the source. Bring in the source. I've got source field there. Source. So
yeah, because you would have a source of like conference, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So we've got source here, live chat. So if that was our conference source, we would select that, live chat, and then we would do our filter. So we've filtered out all our leads on the system which are conference leads. You could also do created on. So if you've added them all manually, go created on current day. You can see all the leads you've just added. You can then select them all and you can assign them to a particular person. Assign them to John Smith here. And apply, and they'll automatically be assigned to him, and he'll receive a notification about those new leads. So that's it. So you've assigned them. You now need to track progress. I can, let's take that out. I can look for all leads that have been assigned to a particular person if I add the field responsible in here. And let's look for those ones we assigned to John Smith. There we go, I can see all John Smith's leads now. If you want then to further filter down again by that source, we're using source live chat. So I'm going to look at live chat, in your case conference, all the ones that I assigned to John Smith. I can now see these two leads, and I can track the progress because I can see what stage is at. If some of these are jumped out or converted, qualified and converted, then you'll see that. What you can do also is, where's the lead name gone? What you can do is, what you can do is bring that over there. Open up one of the leads, click in the automation tab, and click on configure. What you might want to do is close out, is put a control in here. So what we want to see is we're looking at 5 days. What we want to see is if in 5 days this has not progressed beyond the new lead stage, you know, add some text in there, then notify the supervisor. So this either supervisor, or you can specify a particular person, is going to receive a notification if the lead doesn't progress beyond this stage within more than 5 days after it was created. So there's different ways to monitor the progress on these leads. Just create a filter and have a look at them, or put some automation in that just reminds you. You might want to remind a supervisor, you might want to remind the salesperson to follow up on them.
Okay, got another question. Is it possible to add data to a document from a business process versus using data from leads and deals? So the answer is no. And the only reason why the answer is no is because the documents are generated using the data that's inside whichever element you have. And unfortunately, if you click into here and click into, let's just see if we've got a Word document I could upload. I don't think I do, because it has to be a docx file. Let's see if I can edit.
Download.
I can edit one here. So you can see here, bind to CRM sections. This will give you the ability to add the fields from these elements. You can see that there's no ability to essentially create your own CRM section to bind the fields to. They have to be pulled from whatever element you're generating the document from. You can generate documents in a business process. So if I wanted to run a manual process and generate, so if I wanted to run a business process manually and generate a document, I could do that whilst doing other things, but it would pull the data from the fields that you select in your document. So if I click in here, which I'm sure you're aware of, that you can get access to any field for the document in here. If you were creating them in a business process, they would need to exist in a lead, a deal, a contact or a company or an invoice or a quote, those fields. So there's no way of creating fields in business processes because they do need to be stored against something that already exists.
Okay, we regularly get audited. Is there any good auditing tools to see the use of Bitrix? So there are a couple of things that you can do. If you're on a cloud account, then let's have a look in here. You have this Pulse link here. It doesn't give you detailed information, but it will, if I narrow it down to an individual user, I can select from here. I can see their activity. There's not a lot of activity on there, but I can see, let's expand that search to month. So I can see the activity by individual module here. Let's just click in that, and that gives me more detailed information about when they've accessed certain modules. So that may be specific enough for you, but it is really just an overview. If we close that down and go into one of our self-hosted instances. On the self-hosted, you have access to a control panel area, and inside here, open up on this activity page. So if you go into analytics here, and then we're open on this hits page. This tells us click by click, user by user, where the users have been. It'll give you their username, date and time, the IP address that they've accessed the site from, and details of the page that they've accessed. You can do a filter up here. So look what this user's name is, Jim White. So if we go into, let's put his visitor ID. Oh no, that's the ID of the page. Let's put Jim White in as a visitor. If that exists, it should exist. Let's have a look. So we've got visitor ID, oh, login name. Let's try that. Okay, so we can use that filter to narrow down by one particular person. We can then use date ranges, etc., to create a filter, and then we can see all that user's activity. As I say, IP address can be useful. You see what location they're at, see what page they've visited, see the dates. So quite detailed. You can also see in here who's online right now. You can see which pages they've come from to enter the site, things like that. So full analytics package gives you click by click information on who's been where within the system. And it is just available on the self-hosted, so it's a bit more limited on the cloud, I think. Problem with Stripe integration. To work in online store, there are multiple places to enter test keys, and Stripe customer service says there's no live integration configured on my account. Okay, we wouldn't be able to go into Stripe integration right now, but if you want to contact us, we can, if you want to take out support with us, we can resolve these issues for you. We have telephone support, so it's different to standard Bitrix support. You get a dedicated contact, you can ring them up with these sort of questions. But yeah, there is a Stripe app. I think it's built by Bitrix24, so you could contact Bitrix24 if there's a problem with it. Yeah, there's a support link there. You contact Bitrix24 with a problem with that, but
yeah, it's difficult. It's quite difficult for us to diagnose what issues that you're facing on this session. It's not really helping you out with any errors that you're getting. We can try and help, but obviously this is more towards helping you find the best solutions to any issues or any questions that you may have.
Just put our contact details up there, so you know who we are, and you can get in touch with us if you need a demo or have any questions afterwards. But you can come back same time every week and we can answer these questions. We can't answer, probably if you've got a technical problem with a third-party app like Stripe, we'll probably be able to resolve that for you. We can tell you how things work, how they should work, how they work, but if there's a problem with that, it's actually not working the way it should do, then we can't actually resolve stuff. That said, unless you have support with us, then we can do that for you. A question here: can I communicate with my clients through Bitrix? You can communicate with clients in quite a few different ways. It's quite an open question, really, I guess. Just look in the CRM. Let's go into a company first of all. So I guess in the initial stages of client communication, then let's just save that. Okay, we've got a mandatory field in there. Won't allow me to save it. I'll put these fields in. Bear with me a second. So let's go into a company record. Then within a company record, we can access a contact, and we can dial that contact from the system. If you're using telephony.
Hello. Thank you for your call.
Using telephony built into Bitrix, or if you're integrating with your phone system, you can communicate with clients in this way. You can, once they become a live customer, if you want to invite them into the system. The other ways you can communicate with clients, obviously not just telephone calls. You can send them a text message. You can send them an email, of course. So phone, text message, email. I guess that's the extent of it. Once they become a live client, then you can invite them into the system, which you've invited them in. They'll be inside a work group. So let's have a look at a work group. So once they're inside a work group, you can post them a message in the work group. We've got a client in this work group, so this one here is an extranet user. You can see there's a little icon on top of her. So if we say, if we find them here, then we can tag them into a post, and by doing this, this user is going to receive a notification in here. So we'll receive a notification and a link to this post. Or we can, I guess, finally we can chat with them as well. So I can open up my chat window within the group, and that opens up a chat with all users. We can find a user and start a fresh chat with them like this. So we can, once they're logged into the system, you can chat with them, but you can also do a voice or a video call. And this is obviously not classed as a telephone call, so you're not paying per minute for it. But we can do that to video call. Sign up. We can video call that one-to-one. You can actually do video calls with up to 10 users at once within the chat window. So you've got instant messaging, video call, voice call. You can send file attachments. You can, if you're using a desktop app, you can share screens as well. So everything really you have within Skype is possible inside there. So yeah, lots of ways of communicating with a client.
Is it possible to convert a quote to an order and then to an invoice? I've just had a check while Damien was speaking then, and there's no, I don't think there's any way to be able to convert a quote to an order. The order being, I assume, in your Bitrix24 store. The orders are stored in the store. I don't believe, I've had to check and I can't find any way of doing it. And you can't do it from a deal to an order either. I had a look at that method. So at the moment, no, unfortunately not. I can't find any way to convert a quote to an order.
To an order?
Well, an order is in here, isn't it? So.
Oh right, an order in the yeah.
I think we went
right in the invoice. Well, you can convert. Yeah, you can't convert a quote to an order, as in a website order, but you can. It might just be a terminology thing. I mean, you can convert. You can win a quote. So quote stages can have one, and that
But if you wanted to convert it into
can't convert
here,
it to an website order, but you can convert it to a one quote, and then you can convert that to an invoice inside the system. Is it possible to set custom fields on tasks for individual workgroup projects and not all existing tasks? Set custom fields on for individual workgroups projects. So you can't set custom fields for by individual workgroup, unfortunately, and you can't. Yeah, no, you can't do that, unfortunately. In business processes, I can automatically create tasks. How can I finish the task when the business process is complete? Automatically finish task. You want to finish the task when the business process is complete. Can you modify the status of a task in the business process, do you think?
I mean, you can if you are in the depends where your business process is. If your business process is in the CRM, you can't complete a task. If it was in the automation here within a group, if your business process was essentially triggering here, you could change the status of a task. So let's say, for example, if we moved it into the finish stage, you could change the status of a task here to completed based on that particular automation process. So that would complete your task. There's no, that I'm aware of, there's no, if you're going into the business processes in the CRM, for example, so if we go into the settings and into the business processes, and let's just add a template here. click on save, and then we go into a task. There's no way when this process runs to the bottom can we mark it as completed. There's no option in this business process to do that. There's not. I can't think of any. The only option you've got on here is pausing the whole process while the task is not complete, and then they would have to mark it as complete to carry on the process. But that's not really what you're asking. There's no way to complete.
Do it on a self-hosted edition if you have self-hosted, but you could create a custom process to do it, but not on the cloud. Okay, let's put our content details up. We don't have any more questions, but post your questions if you've got more. And we do the same session every week, and we also have webinars on Monday which you can register for, which you do on different subject areas. Go to our website, interface.com/webinars, or if you go to Bitrix24.com and scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's a link there to register for webinars there. Okay, doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I guess we'll finish it there. Contact us on those details if you want a demo during the week or have any other questions. Okay, just got another one here. How is it best to use telephony and link to using through my mobile phone? So you can download the Bitrix24 app, and that has an inbuilt soft phone, so you can have your office staff divert calls to you, and you can take those on your mobile phone with the app. You're making a call over the internet there, not as a traditional call, and you can make outbound calls as well. So you can search through contacts and click and dial from the contact. It will ask you, do you want to dial using your phone or the Bitrix app? When you dial using the Bitrix app, then it's over the internet, and it's just got a soft phone as well. So you've got a dial pad, so you can just make calls using the dial pad. So different ways of doing it.
Yeah, I think next week we may connect the mobile up to the session, and we'll just show you what the mobile app looks like and how you can dial out, so that I can show you next Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, so wrap it up. Thanks for your time. See you next time.